Good morning, distinguished guests, shipmates, families, friends, and members of the Royal Canadian Navy. And welcome to the change of command from Vice-Admiral Angus Topshee to Vice-Admiral Dan Charlebois. Commander, Royal Canadian Navy, change of command ceremony. That's a lot of commands. We're going to hear them a lot today. All right. Chers invités, chers camarades, chères familles, chers amis et membres de la Marine Royale Canadienne. Bienvenue à la cérémonie de passation de commandement entre le Vice-Admiral Angus Topshee et le Vice-Admiral Daniel Charlebois, commandant de la Marine Royale Canadienne. My name is Sabrina Nash. It's an absolute pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies on this occasion. I'm still a little shocked the Navy gave me a microphone, but here we are. Je m'appelle Sabrina Nash et c'est pour moi un immense plaisir d'être votre maîtresse de cérémonie en cette occasion. Naval ceremonies are famous for two things: tradition and standing for long periods of time. We'll honor the first and do our best to minimize the second. Today marks the formal transfer of command of the Royal Canadian Navy, a responsibility that extends across 3 oceans, around the world, to thousands of sailors, civilians, and families who serve our nation every day. In the Navy, we often speak of keeping the watch. No matter the weather, the challenge, or the distance, the watch must be maintained. Today, one commander hands over that watch, a simple act that has been repeated for centuries by sailors around the world, and it remains one of the most important traditions in naval service. Quel soit le temps, les difficultés ou la distance, la veille doit être assurée. Aujourd'hui, un commandant passe le relais, une geste simple que les marins du monde entier accomplissent depuis des siècles, et qui reste l'une des traditions les plus importantes de la marine. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered upon the traditional territories of Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is coveted by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabeg to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. For thousands of years, these waters and shorelines have connected peoples, communities, and nations. As sailors, we understand that waterways are more than just geographic features. They are pathways of connection, of commerce, of service, and a lifeline. Depuis des milliards d'années, ces eaux et ces côtes relient les peuples, les communautés et les nations. En tant que marins, nous savons que les voies navigables sont bien plus que simples des éléments géographiques. Ce sont des Haida served with distinction during the Second World War and the Korean War. Haida stands today as a powerful reminder of the generations of sailors who have gone before us. The first commanding officer was Harry George DeWolf, a naval hero whose legacy lives on and proudly sails today. The Harry DeWolf class Arctic offshore patrol vessels and first ship of its class were named in his honor. And 80 years later, Harry DeWolf's name and legacy lives on. Haida stands as a symbol of courage, service, and continuity. In 1943, when the members of the Haida tribe learned that the Navy was going to name this tribal class vessel in their honor, they immediately called a powwow. They were truly honored, and they wanted to compliment the gesture in some form. So the tribe of less than 500 members at the time voluntarily went around and collected donations. They raised a total of $100, and they mailed a check to Harry DeWolf with a letter. That would be $1,800 in today's money, in case you're wondering. The intent was that the money raised be devoted to the comforts of the sailors. The Haida tribe have a fierce seagoing reputation, and that is the tradition that was perpetuated in this lean, tough destroyer under Haida's fighting flag. So I would now like to invite Elder and Honorary Captain Deb Eisen to perform the smudging ceremony. Elder Deb served with the Canadian Navy for 36 years. She's a very close friend of the Navy, and she wears many hats, and we are absolutely privileged that she was able to join us here today. Je voudrais inviter Debbie Eisen d'effectuer la cérémonie de purification.
Bon matin, good morning, Wiliexikpu, everyone. It is my great honor to provide the smudging ceremony this morning for Vice-Admiral Topshee, Vice-Admiral Charlebois, and Mem General Cameron to come forth. The smudging ceremony consists of 4 sacred medicines: cedar, sweetgrass, sage, and tobacco. We use these medicines to smudge ourselves so that we hear things clear, we see things clear, we speak the truth, and we ground ourselves to Mother Earth. And also today to have the smudging ceremony so that this event goes in a beautiful way, which we're already well on our way. So I'd like to invite the 3 of you to come forward. I will introduce myself in my language of the Anishinaabe people, and I'll switch to English, but I invite each and every one of you here to pray in your own way or take it a time for your own thoughts and reflections. Ani bujo nana temakus and dejanakas, no mayanganaway Anishinaabe kwe, Batchewana First Nations. Creator, we thank you for this beautiful sunshine that you have given us this morning to help ignite the fire in our bellies to move ahead with yet another day. And these fresh winds that blow helps to cleanse Mother Earth of her toxins. We pray, Creator, for our loved ones who are sick and need your help and strength and guidance in the days ahead. And for our loved ones who are preparing themselves for their final journey to you, we ask, Creator, that you welcome them with open arms. And I pray today for each and every one of our sailors and military people here today, that they lead a good life and they are kept and well looked after in a good way. And I pray for our leaders to give them strength and endurance and help them to open their hearts and our minds with clarity and understanding of the protection that we need here on Mother Earth. For our doctors, nurses, firefighters, paramedics, and police officers who work so hard day in and day out, protecting our way of life here on Turtle Island, keep them safe. And lastly, Creator, I pray for our veterans, those men and women who are far from home, protecting our way of life here on Turtle Island. Keep them safe and free from harm till they return back to Turtle Island and back to the loving arms of their family and their friends. Mset Nogama, Tahomigwich, Aha. Thank you.
Just looking at some of the photos they've taken so far. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Before we invite, oh, boss, I know. I'm sorry. Before we invite Vice-Admiral Topshee to deliver his remarks, I just wanted to share a little personal reflection. You know, I've had the privilege to work alongside Vice-Admiral Angus Topshee, and I'm not going to cry. Oh, my God. Mama. Today marks 1,478 days that I have had the privilege to work with Vice-Admiral Topshee. Over those 4 years, I have had a front row seat to his leadership style. And one thing became very clear very quickly. He's never really been interested in doing things in a certain way because that's just the way it's always been done. He believes in moving forward rather than waiting for perfection. I've learned that he approaches leadership much the same way he approaches everything else. Fast, very fast. For most of us, a podcast played at normal speed sounds perfectly reasonable. For our Vice-Admiral Topshee, normal speed is merely a suggestion. He consumes most things, including podcasts, at approximately 3 times the speed of the rest of humanity. And while the rest of us are still processing one idea, he's often 3 ideas further down the road. What I came to appreciate, however, was that his pace was never about impatience. It was about possibility. He believes that if there is a better way to do something, we should always be willing to try it. That mindset has challenged us, it's pushed us, and ultimately helped move our Navy forward. And our Navy is in a better place today because of it. That mindset has also led to a few outstanding, remarkable moments. I won't name them all, but just a couple highlights. There was something about a video that was released on YouTube. I think it generated, a few phone calls from the center, more than we anticipated, but I also believe it did generate a lot of difficult conversations that we needed to have. And it also forced a great deal, I just said that, of conversations. There was also the time I did convince him to play a video game called World of Warships to an online audience of thousands, not once but twice. So for those who witnessed this, you'll know that courage comes in many forms. And as one of his foreign counterparts here with us today, Admiral Cottle, recently had a meeting, and in his opening, they were just chatting about, congratulating him on his tenure as commander. And what Admiral Cottle said is, Canada is a country that matters, and we need a Navy that matters. And well done to Vice-Admiral Topshee for consistently driving that message home to our government. So that remark just really was a standout. So without further ado, please welcome the outgoing commander of the Royal Canadian Navy, Vice-Admiral Angus Topshee, to give his final address. Mesdames et messieurs, j'aurais maintenant invité le commandant sortant de la Marine royale canadienne.
All right. General Carignan, distinguished guests, shipmates, and friends of the Royal Canadian Navy, good morning and welcome. I'm absolutely delighted that we got the weather we wanted for today's ceremony with the sun that justifies this wonderful new uniform. So thank you to Logistic Corps to deliver it on time. And Jason, yes, this was my one. I get it. Dan has some other requests. Admiral Cottle and Admiral Lundy, thank you for being here. Your presence signals that no matter the political rhetoric, our navies and coast guards remain closely linked through a shared determination to defend our continent. Je remercie aussi les attachés de défense et les représentants de l'industrie qui sont ici aujourd'hui. Ce fut un plaisir de travailler avec vous dans ce rôle et compte tenu l'orientation de notre nouvelle stratégie industrielle de défense, Build, Partner, Buy, je m'attends à travailler encore plus étroitement avec vous dans le prochain. I'm sure that many of you are asking, so why Hamilton? Pourquoi sommes-nous ici à Hamilton? Well, as Sabrina said, there's a reason to what we do, and in this case, it's not because we were Googling port cities in Canada that began with H and A and mistook Hamilton for Halifax. I acknowledge that traditionally our change of command is in Halifax, and that makes sense. For most of our history, the Navy was commanded from Halifax. Mais la MRC a aussi des racines profondes ici, et non seulement parce que le NCSM Haida est ici chez lui. After the Second World War, Hamilton became the home of Commanding Officer Naval Divisions, or COND, what we would now call Commander of the Naval Reserve. In 1956, HMCS Patriot was established here as the Royal Canadian Navy's Great Lakes Training Center. Every summer, reservists from across Canada came here to develop the skills they needed to serve in the RCN. It may seem hard to believe today, but there are photos of as many as 8 frigates and destroyers tied up right here. And they even conducted anti-submarine warfare exercises in Lake Ontario. And Daryl, those involved American submarines. I think we did. That might have been why we were celebrating. I don't know how the difference between saltwater and freshwater affected the tactics. So our presence here today is about more than history. It is a signal that the Naval Reserve, the Great Lakes, and the St. Lawrence Seaway are central to the Navy's future. Notre vision est simple. Chaque marin ou matelot, de la force régulière ou de la réserve, joindra la marine par l'entremise de sa division locale de la réserve navale, comme le NCSM Star juste par là. Since 70% of the Canadian population lives along the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway corridor, that means that most of our sailors will join in places like this, start their training in units like Star, and if our plan for a renewed and expanded patrol vessel fleet is approved, serve in their first ships on Canada's 4th maritime boundary, patrolling it while they build their skills and ensure that they are ready for whatever the future brings. Et cela m'apporte aux marins sur parade. Il y a 75. And before I go on, just take a second, bend your knees, move a little bit. It's going to be a long parade. I'm going to go as fast as I can. I speak fast, but I mean it. Bend. I'm not going on until I see movement. Bend, you too. So each of the 3 divisions has 25 sailors representing our 3 formations. And they represent every unit across the Royal Canadian Navy. They are here because they are among our very best, handpicked to take part in Navy Week, where they will share their stories with Canadians at events in Ottawa and across the Greater Toronto Area. We've also assembled behind me a massed RCN band, the Stadacona Band, the Naden Band, and musicians from HMC ships Star and York, all in one place. The first time we have done that in a very long time. And if I have one regret for this week is that I will not be around on Thursday for the concert that they will be giving. For those of you from the area, I really encourage you to go out. It is going to be a spectacular experience. They are incredibly talented musicians. Les gens sont la force de la marine. Nos marins sont appuyés par un effectif civil nombreux, talentueux et extrêmement compétent partout dans la MRC. Je suis reconnaissant envers les travailleurs dévoués des forces canadiennes à Esquimalt et Halifax, qui appuient et soutiennent nos 2 flottes et notre force sous-marine. I'm equally grateful to our 2 fleet maintenance facilities, Cape Breton and Cape Scott, which maintain and repair our ships, and not just in Esquimalt and Halifax, but anywhere around the world they may be when work is needed. I also want to recognize the outstanding staff in our port operations and emergency services branches, who manage our harbors and take on many other tasks unique to naval operations. They do remarkable work with tugs, auxiliaries, and watercraft that are almost always older than they are. And so I'm grateful that we are finally delivering the first of the new tugs that we so desperately need. I also want to recognize those incredible Navy civilians whose work may happen behind a desk in Ottawa rather than at sea, but it is no less essential to our success than anything that happens on a ship or submarine. And last, but certainly not least, I want to shout out the roster of exceptional Canadians who serve the RCN as honorary captains. Plusieurs sont ici aujourd'hui. Throughout my time in command, they've provided advice and guidance, some of it quite blunt and pointed at times, opened doors, connected us to audiences who we wouldn't otherwise reach, honored our history and heritage, supported our sailors and their families, and helped with whatever else needed doing. We are all shaped by our experiences and by the lessons we learn along the way, especially in a naval career. I have been fortunate to benefit from outstanding mentors and leaders throughout my career, and again, many of them are here today, and I'm grateful for all of the wisdom and guidance they have provided me throughout my career. I have also been supported by an exceptional team of regular reserve and civilian personnel in the Navy staff. Vous avez accompli des choses remarquables pour la MRC, et je n'ai aucune idée où nous en serions sans vous. Général Carignan, merci pour votre leadership et vos conseils. Votre soutien et vos encouragements m'ont aidé à porter ce fardeau et m'ont facilité la tâche. Merci beaucoup. It is impossible to properly thank every person who has supported me and helped me over the past 4 years without turning this parade into some sort of Netflix limited series, and nobody wants that. So instead, I want to briefly touch on some of the people you don't know, but who made me who I am today, and rarely get the credit they deserve. And this is also why I have a speech. Normally, I don't use prepared remarks, but today, I knew I was going to need something to ground me, hold me here, and I didn't want you spending 45 minutes as I made my way through a blithering series of remarks and emotion. So I'll start with my father. He is no longer with us, but the lessons he taught me are deeply ingrained into who I am. Above all, he taught me that effective communication depends on speaking simply and authentically. I will never forget his amazing stories, which taught me the value of storytelling and making a message connect and resonate. To my mother, an amazing woman who will do anything for anyone, and someday it will probably kill her. She taught me empathy, that every person has a story, and that you can't truly know that person and understand them until you get to know that story. To my children, Amy, Zoe, Charlotte, and Iris, each a wonderful and distinct young woman with tremendous gifts. Collectively, you serve as a constant reminder that I am an ordinary, fallible human who must always strive to do better, to be a better father, to be a better person, and to never believe the headlines or posts. And to Audrey, the love of my life, 32 years together. You have always been there for me. You always just intuitively know when I need love and understanding and when I need a swift kick in the ass. And another reminder that I must and can do better. You make sure I am focused on what matters, whether it's at home or at work. It's always, you're helping me understand what is it I need to be doing now. Thank you for being the lighthouse of our family, the essential navigational aid that keeps us anchored in time and place and provides the lead mark for all that we do. I took the time to tell those stories about my family because they shape who I am. Je sais à quel point j'ai la chance d'avoir une famille aussi forte, et je sais aussi que ce n'est pas le cas pour tout le monde. I know that I am blessed to have such a strong and supportive family, and I truly wish that everybody enjoyed that same luxury. And that's why in the Navy we do strive to provide that family to those who don't have it and to support those families wherever we can. Pour moi, la leçon est simple. Tout repose sur les personnes. We must be an organization that sees every person for who they are, that creates an environment in which they are supported and enabled to bring their full selves to work each day and where they are put in a position to succeed by unlocking the full potential of their talent. That is not always easy. Sometimes it means telling someone that they aren't the right fit for the role they seek and then doing the hard work of finding them a different place in our organization where they can succeed or a path out of it. That is what leadership looks like. It's tough at times, but it's about creating the opportunity for everyone to be their best. Mais le plus souvent, il s'agit du plaisir de faire ressortir le talent exceptionnel de nos matelots, de tous les marins et officiers de la Marine royale canadienne et de tous nos civiliens. Mais mon moment préféré dans ce poste était les cérémonies de distinction et de reconnaissance. Ces moments où l'on s'arrête pour reconnaître le travail remarquable que font nos gens. People are at the heart of everything we do. Throughout history, it has never been the quality of the ship or submarine that wins the fight, but the quality of the sailor. Haida was not the most advanced or best-built destroyer of the Second World War, but it was commanded by the greatest destroyer captain Canada has ever produced and led by an outstanding crew of Canadians from across our country who outfought every enemy they encountered, sank more shipping than any other Canadian ship in our history, and brought glory to Canada. Today, it continues to serve as our ceremonial flagship and a monument to the outstanding work of every sailor who came to sea with the Royal Canadian Navy. People change, and we must change with them. If you doubt that, I'd encourage you to go aboard Haida and look at the mess decks and hammocks. The sailors of that era lived and were led differently than our sailors today. La société évolue. Il faut qu'on évolue avec elle. To do that, the Royal Canadian Navy must continue to evolve how we attract, recruit, and train our sailors. Nous devons moderniser nos métiers pour refléter les exigences de la guerre en mer aujourd'hui. And we must deliver basic naval training that ensures every sailor who joins the RCN, regular or reserve, leaves with the skills needed to contribute meaningfully aboard any of our ships right away. There's much more underway in the personnel space, but this parade is already long enough, so I'll spare you the details. Il suffit de dire que nous avons un plan pour attirer, recruter, former et employer tous les marins dont nous avons besoin pour rendre opérationnelle la flotte que nous construisons. And for the first time in many years, our trained effective strength is growing. Nous ne sommes pas encore sortis du bois, mais il y a des raisons d'être prudemment optimistes. And speaking of the fleet that we are building, we should all be proud of the tremendous progress we've made over the past 4 years. We've taken delivery of the first new class of ships for the RCN since the 1990s. La classe Harry de Wolf a déjà démontré sa valeur au Canada. Not only can they patrol the Arctic like no RCN ship since 1954, but they have already gone just about around the world with deployments to Europe, Asia, South America, Antarctica, and even to Thunder Bay. Next year, we will take delivery of our first of 2 new joint support ships when HMCS Protector joins the fleet and restores the organic replenishment capability we've lacked since the retirement of the original Protector and Preserver 10 years ago, or more than a decade ago. And last week, we laid the keel of the future HMCS Fraser, a major milestone in building the first of 15 River-class destroyers Canada urgently needs to defend our waters and maritime interests in an increasingly dangerous and unpredictable world. And you knew I wasn't going to get away without mentioning submarines. Et espérons-le bientôt, le gouvernement annoncera le fournisseur privilégié pour une nouvelle flotte de 12 sous-marins, afin que personne n'entre jamais dans nos eaux sans notre permission. Submarines guarantee no one will ever come into our waters without our permission. There's still a great deal of work to do. The world is as dangerous and unpredictable as it has ever been. And as the RCN charts its course through the headwinds and high seas ahead, I can think of no better person to lead it than Vice-Admiral Dan Charlebois. Dan, you've served on both coasts. You've commanded Regina and a task force in the Arabian Sea. You've done everything required in a distinguished naval career to prepare you for this moment. Tu apportes exactement le leadership, le jugement et l'expérience dont la MRC a besoin maintenant. I am excited to see where you will lead the RCN during your tenure. Nancy, thank you for supporting Dan and finding a way to balance your work as a teacher while raising two wonderful children. We're about to make your task a lot harder, but I know you and your family are up for it. Fair winds and following seas to you. It is time for me to go. When I joined my first ship many years ago, I was taught that your goal should always be to turn over the watch to your relief in a state better than when you found it. J'espère avoir été à l'auteur de cette attente. General Carignan, I stand relieved. Haida, haul down my flag.
All for just one time, I would take the Northwest Passage to find the hand of Franklin reaching for the Beaufort Sea, tracing one warm line to a land so wild and savage, and make a Northwest Passage to the sea. Westward from the Davis Strait, 'tis there 'twas said to lie, the sea route to the Orient, for where so many died. Seeking gold and glory, leaving weathered, broken bones, and a long-forgotten, lonely cairn of stone. Ah, for just one time, I would take the Northwest Passage to find the hand of Franklin reaching for the Beaufort Sea, tracing one warm line to a land so wild and savage, and make a Northwest Passage to the sea. Ah, for just one time, I would take the Northwest Passage to find the hand of Franklin reaching for the Beaufort Sea, tracing one warm line to a land so wild and savage, and make a Northwest Passage to the sea. And make a Northwest Passage to the sea.
Well done. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, we've now come to the highlight. We have some gifts to distribute here. Liam Morse is Admiral Topshee's flag lieutenant, and he would like to now present flowers to Audrey Topshee on behalf of all the Royal Canadian Navy personnel for her outstanding support and sacrifices. While one person may wear the uniform, we all know that military service is very much a family commitment. Whew, it's hot out here. They have shared in the demands, the sacrifices, and uncertainties that accompany leadership at the highest levels of service. So once again, thank you, Audrey, Daintree, Amy, Zoe, Charlotte, and Iris for joining us. Well, some of you are joining us here today, but we really appreciate your support. The Navy really needed him, so we appreciate you. All right, now we have some gifts for the boss. Lieutenant Liam Moores, once again, we are going to present a couple tokens to Vice-Admiral Topshee for his departure gift with gratitude, to thank him for his service to the RCN, and soon to be our Vice Chief of the Defense. So the first item you see up here, sir, we wanted to present you with your flag. This is your flag that was flown from HMCS Charlottetown on May 14th, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. It was your last night at sea as a member of the Royal Canadian Navy. The shadow box was custom made by Petty Officer Second Class Keenan from Marland. So that's gift number one. Thank you, sir. You stay here, yes. The second item, it's actually a photo of the item. So all of your fans and friends and staff, we all got together and we bought something that we thought that you could use. And Amy said it was a good idea. So if it's not, it's on her, Amy. Okay, so here is what we have purchased. It's a canoe because we heard that your canoe has been rendered unseaworthy. So we wanted to replace it, but it's not just a canoe, it's being customized as your Kraken 38 canoe. So we didn't want to bring it all the way to Hamilton. It will be waiting ready for you back home in your driveway, and I'll probably be bringing it there myself. So anywho, we'll have this on display at the reception if anyone wants to take a look. Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite the Chief of the Defense Staff, General Jenny Carignan, along with Vice-Admiral Angus Topshee and Vice-Admiral Daniel Charlebois to the table for the signing of the Change of Command scrolls. J'invite maintenant le chef d'état-major de la Défense, la générale Jenny Carignan, ainsi que le vice-amiral Angus Topshee et le vice-amiral Daniel Charlebois, à se joindre à nous à la table pour signer le parchemin de passation de commandement. In signing the Change of Command certificate, Vice-Admiral Topshee officially transfers his command to his successor, Vice-Admiral Charlebois. The Chief of the Defense Staff will authenticate the transfer of this command. En signant le certificat de passation de commandement, le Vice-Amiral Topshee transfère officiellement son commandement à son successeur, le Vice-Amiral Charlebois. Le chef d'état-major de la Défense authentifie le transfert de commandement.
Well, my father always told me when I was just a lad, a sailor's life is very hard, the food is always bad. But now I'm in the Navy, I'm aboard a man-o'-war, and now I find a sailor ain't a sailor anymore. Just haul on the ropes, don't climb up the mast. And if you see a sailing ship, it might be your last. Just get your civvies ready for another run ashore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. Woo!
Well, the killer of our mess, he says we had it soft. Wasn't like that in his day when we were up aloft. We like our bunks and sleeping bags, but what's a hammock for? Sailing on the deckhead or lying on the floor.
Don't haul on the ropes, don't haul on the mast.
And if you see a sailing ship, it might be your last.
Just get your civvies ready for another run ashore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. Don't haul on the ropes, don't climb up the mast.
And if you see a sailing ship, it might be your last.
Just get your civvies ready for another run ashore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore.
Thank you once again to the amazing band. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite our Chief of the Defense Staff, General Jenny Carignan, to deliver her address. Merci.
Bonjour, good morning, Kwe. C'est vraiment un grand plaisir d'être ici. Je voudrais saluer quelques personnes aujourd'hui. We have the Mayor of Hamilton, Andrea Horwath, that is with us, as well as Jeff Kimball, the MP for Cowichan, as well as Mr. Ned Kuruk, the MP for Hamilton, and members of the Six Nations of the Grand River. I would also salute our U.S. colleagues, the CNO, Admiral Daryl Cuddle, as well as Admiral Lundy, and also joining us today, our own Coast Guard, Mark Mess, is here to represent. So glad to have you all with us today. Command Chief Warrant Officers and distinguished guests, friends and colleagues, good morning. It is always a privilege to preside over change of command ceremonies, especially here in this amazing historical site of HMCS Haida, the fightest ship in Canada's history. And yes, I am definitely envious of the white uniform this morning, folks. Aujourd'hui, plus particulièrement, c'est formidable de rendre hommage à deux officiers dont les carrières s'avèrent des exemples d'engagement et de professionnalisme. Deux officiers qui ont exercé le commandement en assurant un équilibre entre la discipline et l'empathie, et dont le leadership s'est caractérisé par un engagement profond envers la MRC. Sa cérémonie révèle aussi de profondes vérités sur la Marine royale canadienne et sur les forces armées canadiennes dans leur ensemble. Elle montre notre respect de la continuité, même lorsque nous embrassons le changement. Elles honorent notre passé, même si notre regard se tourne vers l'avenir. Et elles rappellent que le commandement n'est pas qu'une simple affaire de gestion, mais bien un don de soi inconditionnel. La préservation de la confiance transmise de génération en génération. As one leader inherits a command, their job, underlying all other tasks and responsibilities, is to develop and grow the organization and pass it on to their successor even better, stronger, more ready, and more resilient than it was when it took command. Vice-Admiral Topshee, Angus, in this, you clearly have succeeded. Thank you. I was not supposed to cry. I'm not supposed to cry today. And Vice-Admiral Charlebois, Dan, I am confident that when you look back on your command, we will be able to say the same for you. Because naval operations are essential to Canada's national security, stability, and prosperity, and more than ever, our sovereignty. We are a seafaring nation surrounded on three sides by oceans. Defending our waters and defending our borders is one and the same. This work is of growing consequence as climate change opens our northern approaches to increased interests and activity by allies and antagonists alike. Notre marine forme aussi un élément crucial de la contribution du Canada aux efforts internationaux avec nos alliés et nos partenaires, des opérations de lutte contre le terrorisme à la piraterie et le trafic de drogue, à la surveillance et à l'application des sanctions, en passant par l'appui aux mesures de dissuasion et de défense de l'OTAN en Europe, ainsi que le déploiement d'une présence canadienne crédible et le soutien d'une paix stable dans la région de l'Indo-Pacifique. Nous menons nos opérations dans une ère de concurrence stratégique, accrue et de progrès technologiques rapides, de même que dans un climat d'incertitude politique, sociale, culturelle et économique. Nous avons aussi des rappels quotidiens que la liberté de navigation et l'accès universel aux biens communs mondiaux sont fondamentaux pour la sécurité, la paix et la prospérité internationale, ainsi que pour la pérennité et la progression à long terme de la liberté, de la démocratie et des droits de la personne. Vice-Admiral Topshee has led in this complex operational environment with purpose and distinction. Angus, through a career spanning more than 35 years, you have led both at sea and on land, commanding HMCS Algonquin, CFB Halifax, and Maritime Forces Pacific and the Pacific Fleet. You have lent your expertise and intellect to continental defense, shaping strategy and policy at NORAD and U.S. Northern Command. You have made substantial contributions to international operations, notably leading NATO's effort to train the Afghan National Police Force. Through it all, you have forged a reputation for an approachable style, a dedication to your sailors, and a commitment to excellence in every aspect of this institution. You have also been an agent of change, modernizing the Navy and speaking with clarity about the importance of its evolution into the seafaring force Canada needs for the future. And you put your words into action, leading the RCN through a remarkable period of transition and obtaining incredible results, recruiting new sailors, our best results in 30 years. The reward for a career of such distinction is usually a well-deserved retirement. But Angus, your country still has need of your service, and the CAF still has need of your talent, and looking forward to working with you as Vice Chief of Defense Staff. As Commander of the Royal Canadian Navy, you have set a high bar for Vice-Admiral Charlebois. Dan, your stellar experience has prepared you well to meet this moment. You have seen the RCN from every angle, having served as a member of the Reserve Force and commanded the frigate HMCS Regina. You have deployed around the globe and developed expertise in multinational operations, notably serving as commander of Combined Task Force 150 in the Middle East. You've also been intimately involved in developing our future fleet as Director General of Future Ship Capability. All of this before being named Deputy Commander of the RCN last year. Poursuivre le travail de modernisation tout en préservant l'état de préparation et l'excellence opérationnelle, le tout dans un contexte de sécurité de plus en plus complexe, sera la constante de votre mandat de commandant. Je sais par expérience personnelle qu'il est beaucoup plus facile de diriger aux plus hauts échelons quand l'amour et le soutien de notre famille nous entourent. The nature of command is challenging for families. It is a commitment that demands long hours, sustained focus, and undivided attention. Success requires a deep engagement to our country and Canadians, to our institution, and to the people who serve on the part of the leader who also is supported by loved ones. I'm so thrilled that both of you have your family here today. Audrey, Iris, and Amy, thank you for all the support that has allowed Angus to serve with such dedication and resolve. It is also wonderful to see Nancy here with Dan. I can't tell you anything you don't already know, but thank you for being here today and every day. Angus and Dan, I know that in everything you do, you will both continue to demonstrate to Canadians that the profession of arms is in the best of hands and that the CAF is worthy of their trust. Les commandements changent, les commandants changent, mais l'excellent leadership est à l'épreuve du temps. Il fait face à l'inconnu avec courage, à l'ambiguïté avec intégrité, et à l'adversité avec honneur, et il inspire les autres à donner le meilleur d'eux-mêmes. Vous avez tous deux gagné le respect de nos marins et des militaires qui servent dans les Forces armées canadiennes. Vous avez acquis la confiance de cette institution, du gouvernement et de la population que nous servons. Je vous remercie tous les deux de votre service exemplaire et je vous souhaite bon vent et bonne mer, tandis que vous amorcez de nouveaux chapitres dans vos parcours remarquables. Merci, thank you, Miigwech.
Here comes the 40% chance of rain. Okay. Only one more hour, folks, I promise. No, I'm totally kidding. Okay. I gotta get my notes. So I think what we're going to do now is we are going to invite our new Commander of the Royal Canadian Navy, Vice-Admiral Dan Charlebois, for his welcome address. Mesdames et messieurs, j'ai l'honneur d'inviter le nouveau commandant de la Marine royale canadienne, le Vice-Amiral Dan Charlebois, à prendre la parole.
Liam passed task number 1. Glasses at the podium. That's
Well,
good.
he's not really helping me here, so I can't even open this thing. Okay, there we go. Here you go, sir.
You know, real quick before I get into my remarks, having followed now Angus for the last 4 years, I've learned one thing. Don't speak after Angus Topshee. You know, he's a phenomenal speaker, phenomenal leader, and all of those things. But he also sucks every single word out of the room. And I look at my remarks, and I said, yeah, he said that, he covered that, he covered that. And then, of course, our chief, whatever Angus didn't cover, she covered. So I could really just sit down in my chair, and we could all head to the reception. But I will take a couple of moments. And the one thing I will point out, as we saw the wonderful gifts that the staff put together for Angus, he actually ran his canoe aground, and we had to get him a new canoe. He didn't talk about that. That didn't come up. But that happened. I'm sure of it. Good morning, bonjour. Chief of Defense Staff, distinguished guests, our closest allies and partners, our gracious hosts from the city of Hamilton, colleagues who took the time to escape Ottawa today, friends, family, and most importantly, our fellow sailors, represented so well here today from coast to coast and from all of our NRDs that stitched those two coasts together. And the bands. Any event that our bands are at is a good event. And what a phenomenal bit of Navy tradition they've added today, which has just been amazing. It's a true honor to stand before you today and assume command of the Royal Canadian Navy. C'est un véritable honneur de me tenir devant vous aujourd'hui et d'assumer le commandement de la Marine royale canadienne. First, I'd like to thank the Government of Canada and the Chief of the Defense Staff for their confidence in me. I'm honored by their trust and mindful of the responsibility that comes with it. To my predecessor, utmost respect as you truly poured your heart and soul into your command, and they supported you the entire way. Under your leadership, our Navy has started down a path of generational and much-needed transformation. Our challenge and my intent will be to not only continue the momentum you created, but to accelerate where it makes sense and to turn transformation into delivery. More people trained and ready to contribute, as well as the modern capability that our sailors need to deliver on all we ask of them. Truth be told, I never thought this day would come. Jamais. Not necessarily because I didn't think I could do it. I just didn't think Angus would ever leave. Maybe run it back for a 5th year, I don't know. But here we are. To the uniformed and civilian members of the Royal Canadian Navy, I stand here today having had the privilege of serving alongside you throughout my career, at sea, on operations, and in headquarters roles at home and abroad. There are many here today who I've trained, worked, sailed, and deployed with and known for decades. Deep, lasting bonds and friendships that I don't take for granted. Lorsque je me suis enrôlé comme réserviste en 1992, je n'aurais jamais cru atteindre le sommet de la Marine royale canadienne. Certainly not as a recruit in Cornwallis in 1992, I can tell you that. An eye-opening experience, but followed by 2 great years at HMC Star in Kingston, Ontario, my hometown. Before I head down the 401 to Wilfrid Laurier, not too far from here, under the regular officer training plan. You have any Laurier alum in the crowd? Can I get a Go Hawks? Yes, I knew there'd be one at least. I've served in many of our ships, had the good fortune to command at sea and ashore, and worked alongside the best of our allies and partners on coalition operations. I've seen firsthand the professionalism, courage, and skill of our sailors in the most trying of circumstances. And those experiences have only reinforced a simple truth. Our Navy's greatest strength is its people. You are without question among the very best Canada has to offer. And you are the inspiration for my continued service. And I'm talking to all y'all here, including the band and including those in the stands that wear the uniform. I'd also like to acknowledge the families and loved ones of our Navy team. Their support enables our people to serve wherever and whenever they are needed to represent and defend Canadian interests. Your resilience and sacrifice are fundamental to our success. To my family, certainly my parents, both of whom served and are in Kingston today, and I'm glad this isn't live streamed because I'd be worried they wouldn't be able to figure that out, but it will be recorded and played for them at a later date. To both my kids, EJ and Dylan, back in Ottawa in school, my brother, who's in Alberta and is keenly awaiting the video as well, all represented here today by my wife, Nancy, a loyal and dedicated kindergarten teacher in the Ontario public school system, of which I myself am a product of, so it's got to be good for something still, Nancy, I think. Thank you. Your support, patience, and understanding have made this moment possible. I'm talking boatloads of patience and understanding, like a lot of patience and understanding. Like so many military spouses, you've shared in the demands of service, have been nothing but supportive of me and the kids and all our dogs, and I am deeply, deeply grateful. I look forward to seeing you again in 2 to 3 years. I'm actually joking. I'll see you Thursday night. To our sailors, I commit to you that I will lead with integrity, humility. My family might dispute the humility part, but I promise I will. And purpose. I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers, but I'll work extremely hard for you. For that, you have my word. I'll listen. I'll rely on your expertise, your professionalism, and your dedication as we move forward together. En assumant le commandement de la marine, je le fais avec une intention claire, axée sur la continuité et le progrès. We will continue to support our people and strengthen our culture, ensuring our Navy is defined by professionalism, respect, and inclusion, and we will press forward with the modernization of our fleet. Il s'agit d'un moment essentiel pour la Marine royale canadienne. Nous devons assurer non seulement à être prêts à opérer la flotte d'aujourd'hui, mais aussi à être pleinement préparés à intégrer et opérer la flotte de futur. No surprise to anybody here, the world is a pretty sporty place right now. Never before in my 34 years of service have I believed Canada needs our Navy, a strong Navy, more. We are building and delivering the Navy Canada needs. Arctic offshore patrol vessels are in service in our Arctic and wherever else Canada needs them. Support ship delivery is imminent next year. River-class destroyers, the backbone of our future fleet, and the platform that can both defend our nation and take the fight to any adversary are now in construction in Halifax. And submarines, the ultimate deterrent in defense of our country and continent, are coming, and coming faster than most will believe, as we continue to modernize and evolve our procurement system to deliver capability at the speed of relevance. And there will be more, because there needs to be more, but all part of a larger plan that involves our sisters and brothers in the other services, because there's a bigger picture, and they're people too. 3 oceans, 240,000 kilometers of coastline, strategic ports that are the gateway to Canada's prosperity. That demands a capable and robust Canadian Armed Forces and Navy, and under the guidance of our Chief and with the support of our government, that is exactly what we aim to deliver. In closing, thank you to everybody for joining us here today in Hamilton with this lovely backdrop. I'm honored to take the watch as the 39th Commander of our Navy. Ma'am, I have the watch. Haida, break my distinguishing pennant. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you, Vice-Admiral Daniel Charlebois, Commander of Royal Canadian Navy. You want me to say that again? Commander of Royal Canadian Navy. Okay. Merci beaucoup, Vice-Admiral Daniel Charlebois. Right now, I am going to once again invite our flag lieutenant. Yes, we have one right now, Liam Morse. He would like to present some flowers to Miss Nancy Charlebois on behalf of the Royal Canadian Navy personnel for her outstanding support and sacrifices to the Canadian Armed Forces. One small little housekeeping note before we conclude here. We just ask that everybody in the benches remain seated for a few moments to allow the parade, the dignitaries of the parade, and our first two rows to exit, and then everyone is welcome to depart. So ladies and gentlemen, please replace your headdress and stand for the royal anthem. Veuillez remettre votre coiffure et vous lever pour l'interprétation de l'hymne royal. Ladies and gentlemen, remain standing for the departure of the dignitaries. Mesdames et messieurs, restez debout pour le départ des dignitaires. Now departing, the Chief of the Defense Staff and the Canadian Armed Forces Chief Warrant Officer. En partance, le chef d'état-major de la Défense, le général Jenny Carignan, et l'adjudant-chef des Forces armées canadiennes, le premier mate de première classe, Bob McCann. Now departing, the Commander of the Royal Canadian Navy, Vice-Admiral Daniel Charlebois, and Command Chief Petty Officer First Class Pascal Harel. En partance, le commandement de la Marine royale canadienne, le Vice-Admiral Daniel Charlebois, et le premier mate de du commandement de la première mate de première classe, Pascal Harel. As we conclude today's ceremony, we are reminded that change is constant. Ships sail, crews rotate, command changes hands, but the mission endures. The Royal Canadian Navy remains ready to fight and serve and defend Canada at home and abroad, just as generations of sailors have done before us. So on behalf of all of us gathered here today, thank you to Vice-Admiral Topshee,